Now we will continue yesterday's lesson. These are the things we have considered yesterday. We have a mind, we have five senses with their organs, and we have objects of the five senses. The objects form what we call environment. We can call it also objectivity. Always the mind is exposed to the objectivity of the world. We are looking to something or hearing something or smelling something or eating something or making conversations with others, feeling the presence of others or feeling the presence of the objects around us. So we are always existing in objectivity. So we know what is there around us. We don't know what is there in us. Because all the time we are exposed to the objects around us. Until we stop our activity outside and turn it inside, we have no chance of knowing what is there inside. That is the reason why we have not noticed that we are having two ayams in us. If we had some time to spend to know what is there in us, we would have easily understood there are two ayams in us. And this ayam in the mind is always exposed to objectivity. It is about this mind we are talking here. That is working through the senses. And when it is equally exposed to all the five senses, it is continuously conditioning the mind inside. And always the mind is conditioned and not natural. When we understand that the mind is conditioned, we can very easily understand that there should be a state which was not under conditioning. That is, there must be a natural state to the mind when there is no conditioning. We can very easily suspect this and understand this. But at the same time, we cannot know how the natural mind will be. This is our present state of existence, called the objective existence. We know everything in this world except ourselves, because we know ourselves only conditioned or exposed. If once we can test the original state of our existence, that is the consciousness which is not conditioned by the senses and mind, then we will test the real I am in us. Until then, the real I am inside is not experienced by the I am who is working in the mind. We should have a sure, safe and scientific process that leads the I am in the mind to the I am in the heart. This is what is called the science of yoga. Since there will be the union of the two I ams in us, it is called yoga. The word yoga means two or three different things. Mainly it means union. That is union of the brain I am with the heart I am. And then communion. That is how this fellow can communicate with this fellow. And yoga also means oneness. These are the meanings of the word yoga. What is the difference between union and oneness? It is necessary for us to understand this. Suppose there are many petals of a flower separately placed on this table. We will take some stick like this, and with the help of a string, we will gather together all the petals and tie them together to the string. There is a flower which is not disturbed and which is taken from the tree directly. In this also the petals are put together. In this also the petals are together. What is the difference? In this we have arranged the petals together. In this the petals are already there together. This is called union and this is called oneness. Even though there are many petals in the flower, it is one flower. Even though you have two hands and two legs, you are one person. Even though you have five senses and five activities and one mind, you are one person. Even though you have many organs and many bones and many nerves in your body, you are only one. So, we are not like this, we are like this. But when we are existing in this I am, the I am of the mind, plurality around us. So, we are answering to the many things around us and we are living in union of the activity. And we are not in oneness. That is why we cannot listen when we are reading. We cannot read while we are listening. At the same time, all the five senses are working simultaneously upon us. So we have a confused way of conditioning of the mind. Still, we are working in this world because we have not yet experienced the real state of oneness. Had we once experienced the real state of oneness, we would have existed in the oneness and then worked out the objectivity into oneness. What is the difference? When you are in the plurality of the world, you are always attacked by something which is different from yourself. And you will go into many states of mind. That's the reason why we have internal enemies in us. That is anger, fear, sorrow, jealousy, etc. These are all possible when we are existing in the mind. We react to the world or we react to the environment. And this reaction causes plurality. Therefore, the machine we have is being misused. It is not properly used. Because we have a wonderful machine but we don't know how to use it. What happens if somebody gives me this machine and I do not know how to handle it? Naturally, I will try to tamper with it and spoil it within a short time. That is what we are doing with this machine. And within a short time, we are going sick physically and mentally. We are many times fatigued. We are tired and weak. And we are angry and irritated. We suspect each other. And we have no belief or confidence upon each other. This is the state in which a normal man exists before he makes a communion with the Lord and before he establishes oneness with him. Once you can know how to contact him and establish oneness with him, you will be trained into the science of man. This is the only science which is not taught in any universities in this world. No professor of any university has any stature to teach you this science. And no university in the world has the stature enough to teach you this science. And unless this science is taught to us, everything goes to waste. Even though we have a good house and many facilities, we cannot make a better use of them. The husband and wife are not happy with each other. The father and son is not happy with each other. And brother and sister suspect each other. And after some years, the husband and wife divorce with each other. And a neighbor suspects another neighbor. And we have many religions, we have many parties in politics, and we have many groups. The people of one group not talking at all with the people of another group. Even though we want God science and theology, we have two different temples teaching theology with two different gurus. The two gurus do not talk to one another. The student of one teacher will hate the student of another teacher. And they begin to discuss which teacher is greater, who is greater than the other. This is because we are learning about everything only with this I am, without knowing this I am. And the countries go into war. The society goes into commercialization. And people go into unhappiness. Countries fight countries and nations fight nations. And there is a mass scale suicide of human culture, of human community in the name of war. This is the human history through thousands of years. Simply because the human machine is not understood by the fellow who is existing in the human body. And if we know how to do it, we make a communion with the Lord inside. And we begin to live in the oneness of our existence. And there is only understanding and no misunderstanding. And there is only happiness and no unhappiness. Because happiness does not belong to the environment. It belongs to a proper use of our machine. This is one aspect of it. In the yogic science, two types of relationship is described with the world. One is what is called reaction. The I am in the mind will always react to the environment and get conditioned by the environment. And he has no natural state of his own. When you are here, I behave according to your presence, but I do not behave according to my nature. When I am with Suman, I will behave according to my relationship with Suman and not natural to myself. When I am with my wife, I behave only according to my relationship with my wife and not according to my nature. So, where is the opportunity for me to behave according to my own nature? Not at all. Unless we create such an opportunity and learn how to do it, we have no time and no opportunity to behave like ourselves. But when once we begin to behave like ourselves, everyone behaves in the same way. Because there is only one I am in everyone. And there is no plurality with that one I am. Whereas there is plurality with the I am of the mind. So, when we reach the yogic state, we stop reacting to the world. We have only what is called response. Understand the difference between reacting to the world and responding to the world. Reacting is self-conditioning and responding is shining into the world in the form of a light of yours. This fellow, this I am, can only react, he cannot respond. So, he cannot have a natural existence. This fellow, the bigger I am, can respond and he has no necessity to react to anything. This is the difference. So, if we consider the five senses and the mind, they include only the I am in the brain. He has everything to receive from outside as impressions. Nothing to shine forth from himself into outside. So we can call him the negative I am. See, in electricity, we have the negative and the positive poles. When a pole is at its receiving end and has nothing to transmit, we call it the negative pole. And when a pole is at its transmitting end, we call it the positive end. So, beyond the I am, whom we call the mind and the senses, the I am in the heart shines different. We can call him the positive I am. So, one who is awakened to the mind and senses, he knows only the negative I am. His activity is only reaction to the environment, and he has no response to the environment. And the one who is awakened to the inner I am in his heart, he has only the positive activity towards the world. Instead of being attacked from the five sides through the senses, from the external activity of the environment, he begins to shine forth as his own activity into the world in the form of the faculties of the mind and the senses. So he shines out from within. Previously, he was oppressed by everything from outside. Now he shines forth like a light from within. The previous activity is called reaction. The yogic activity is called response. So, from reaction to response, we have to travel. That is the purpose of yoga practice. The I am in the mind and brain should travel to the I am in the heart. This is the purpose of yoga practice. To know the difference between the two I ams, the yogic science calls this I am as person, and he calls this I am as Lord. We should differentiate between the two. Because this I am shines forth and he has his own self-brilliance. He is the Lord. When you are with him, you are the Lord. Because you have no independent existence except his own existence. And this is what happens when you practice yoga. This Lord is called in yogic science Isha or Ishvara. The words Isha and Ishvara mean the Lord. That means everything is subordinate to him in the constitution. And everything depends upon him. Because as long as the Lord consciousness is there, this activity is working, that is mind and senses are working. The body is working and we are living. The moment the Lord wants to stop, automatically there is no mind and no senses and no body. And everything disintegrates and stops to exist. So when the Lord proposes that it should exist, and then we have what is called birth. As long as the Lord proposes, we live in this world. And the moment the Lord proposes, stop. We are not there. However great a doctor may be, he cannot make a heart work when it begins to stop. He may have the greatest certificate in the world about cardiology, but he has to look to it and bend his head, but he cannot do anything when a heart wants to stop. Because it is perfect autocracy that rules. And it knows when to start and where to start. And when to stop and where to stop. All our intelligence and all the knowledge we have, all the carefulness we have and all the experience we have in this world, and all the sciences and arts and humanities we know in this world, they depend upon the span between birth and death. And these 2 points are not in the hands of anyone. And only in between we have our own creation. The yogi understands this secret. Then he can have a thorough understanding of the technical know-how of the machine he is having. And he understands his own limitations. And he knows how to behave with this machine. And he understands what is misbehavior. And he stops misbehaving. And he takes every care only to behave according to the law that governs by the law. This is one change that takes place when the person I am begins to approach the Lord that I am. Before one can approach the Lord I am, we have two states of development or progress in our evolution. One is called individuality. The other is called personality. For some time, we live as individuals, and then we will evolve into personalities. And just as an egg breaks and the little bird comes out, our individuality breaks and the personality is born in the course of our evolution. What is the difference? In the individual state, we remember only what we want, and we are careful of our own wants. What are our own wants? Drink, sleep, activity, sex. Beyond these things, there is no other thing existing at all. So, we are interested only in these things. And we are interested to take care of our own things. Also we are interested in making things our own. That is, possessing things. If I find this very good, I try to take it away from you and make it myself. And if I have a son or a daughter, I try to make the child as my own. I try to possess the fellow. I try to possess my wife. The wife tries to possess the husband. And the result is disappointment and sorrow. So, continuously, the fellow receives disappointments and sorrows in life. And he meets many inconveniences and losses in life. Sometimes he loses his money in a business. Sometimes he loses his house. And sometimes he loses his loved ones. He experiences separations from his own people. And he lives in constant worry, sorrow and disappointment. And the evolution continues to give him betterment. After about 1,000 or 2,000 births and deaths, he understands that there is a better life. Because of his experience, he takes a birth into personality. Then he understands that others also want the same things. Even others are as hungry as ourselves. Others also have their own needs and their own wants. And when all people try to get the same thing from the world, there is fight and war. One fellow should kill another to get what he wants. And the fellow understands that there is a better activity. That is, I can give you what you want and I can take from you what I want. This change is called personality. So we have the birth of virtues, due to necessity. We practice mutuality